So joining me now, Kellyanne Conway, counselor to the president. Kellyanne, good to have you here as well this evening. So you hear Father Martin, he's saying, you know, don't risk other people's lives. It's not worth it. It's not okay for those who may be asymptomatic to be out in places. What do you say?
Well, hopefully Father Martin and others are actually reading the guidelines. He told you we should be listening to the epidemiologist. The CDC is the Centers for Disease Control. These are their guidelines. They are the agency in our nation, Martha, charged with telling us about infectious diseases and other health crises. So these are the CDC guidelines that were put forth today. This wasn't issued by the Trump-Pence campaign. So I want to correct the record there. We worked very closely with Dr. Redfield and his team. Dr. Birx was looking at this, members of the task force for quite a while. And I also would say to people, please read these guidelines, because so much of it repeats what we already know about social distancing, wearing masks, avoiding the contact that he just gave as examples. Nobody's suggesting people are going to shake or hug for the sign of peace or share the same ritual book or the communion cup. But what you said is very important. And what the CDC says at the beginning of its guidelines is significant. They're saying that a faith is essential to millions of Americans, and faith gatherings are part of that. You know, Martha, pre-pandemic, we had in this country 120,000 deaths a year from drug overdoses and suicides. And many experts predict that that could be exacerbated and get worse because people are not availing themselves of socialization. Look at what we're doing to so many of our kids. They don't have the academic or social structural report. There's been an increase in child abuse, spousal abuse, drug abuse, mental health problems in some places because of the isolation and the fear and the lack of just being around other people. Not every home is a safe one, and not everybody can withstand the anguish of not being able to return to work or places of worship to feed their families or feed their souls. The president said something today that was important, that he said he's correcting an injustice. Yeah, he said, I'm sorry, there's a delay here, Martha. He's saying that he's correcting an injustice. That was an important phrase because we haven't been treating every institution the same. And those, you know, protected activities like your First Amendment right to worship deserves heightened scrutiny and I think a special solicitude when you're examining, you know, what's right and what's wrong. Why in the world can you go get your Doritos,
right
Cheetos, and Tito's at the grocery store and liquor store?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we were just looking at pictures of churches that are socially distant, and you know, people are there with their masks on. And as I said earlier, it seems like if you can go to the grocery store, you should be able to do that in a responsible way, and that people who are in the difficult age zone should stay home for a while longer. With regard to the handling of all of this, this is a new ABC News poll, and this one it lines up with other polls that we've seen as well about how the president is handling the COVID-19 crisis. 60% disapprove, 39% approve. And like I said, you know, you're a pollster by profession, and we've seen a number of polls that have him underwater on this mark.
Well, I don't think anybody likes dealing with a global pandemic. And the president himself has said that the loss of life is so devastating to each and every one of us that one precious life lost is one too many. Having said that, let's review what the president has done. Maybe the media don't cover it fairly and completely in many times, but look at what he has done. Things only a president can do. We've repatriated 93,000 Americans who were abroad. We're dealing with the other G7 leaders to figure out how to deal with a global pandemic together. He has worked across the aisle with Democratic governors who publicly and really privately have thanked this administration for surging the supplies of ventilators and masks and PPE. Every state has received billions of dollars in direct funding. Trillions of dollars have gone to distressed industries and individuals. So there's a whole list of things that only a president can do. The Defense Production Act, really getting the whole private sector together. So he's done that day by day, working around the clock. And I think people will see the fruits of that eventually, and I think many people see it now. They will. These polls
we'll see what happens
all over the place.
I think that. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're like, you know, there's a delay, but I just have to cut in. You know, we'll see what happens in the ultimate poll, because the ultimate poll will happen in November.
Right.
And, you know, everyone's going to judge for themselves how they think the president handled this. And in the end, they will have to decide, you know, how they feel about it in terms of leadership. And that'll be up to the American people, and we'll see.
Sure, but we need the truth and the facts out there, and all the money, and you know, this has been a global pandemic that came unanticipated, and he is dealing with it every single day. And now we are also looking at the dual medical and financial crises, and he will rejuice the economy that he started so beautifully.
All right, we'll be watching. Kellyanne, thank you very much.